President Putin's finest hour or a glossy distraction from his problems? Hello. If you look back at some of the different disasters that have occurred in post-war British history, from Aberfan to Hillsborough to the Zeebrugge Herald of Free Enterprise ferry disaster, they have a unique power to shock and to linger in the national memory. And so it is with Grenville. It's not just the sheer awfulness of the death toll that upsets the nation, it's also about the feeling that the tragedy might easily have been avoided. Add the dignity of the community, the stories that came out that night, the all too imaginable horror, and it is no surprise that a year on, Grenville is still much in our minds. The sad anniversary has been marked today, nowhere more than in the streets around the tower itself. Memorial events, including a silent march this evening, pictures of which you can see here. We'll hear live from Grenville soon, but we start with a look at the effect of such an important tragedy, not on the nation, but on the young people touched by it in the neighbourhood. Newsnight producer Sarah Moriaglu has spent the last few weeks alongside the Grenville community with some of those children. This is her film, which she made with our special correspondent, Katie Razzle.
I woke up because of like all the noise and everything that was going on, and everyone around the area also woke up.
I was walking to school and then I saw this lady and then she was like to me, "No honey, you're not going to school today. There's no school."
Jack.
I was on the 21st floor. I collapsed, and from what I've been told, my dad and some firefighters came up to go and help me.
I was standing outside that block and I'm seeing men from like ITV and BBC and Sky filming, and my aunt's friend, yeah, she's crying because she just found out her daughter died, and you have a cameraman going right next to her face. Come on.
I remember what I was doing that exact week before the fire. I remember how I felt. I remember all my emotions from then. And just to think that that was a year ago is insane.
That night, a year ago, as Grenville burned, local community centres, churches and a mosque opened their doors to help survivors and evacuees. A local youth club quickly found itself at the heart of the relief effort. The head of the Rugby Portobello Trust arrived on the scene at 5 a.m.
Speaking to the building, they need to ring 999.
It was absolute chaos. And when I got to the door, I was greeted by two of my colleagues who said, "People are dead, boss." Within 20 minutes, we kind of realised that help really wasn't coming, so we needed to organise ourselves. We closed our youth club for about 12 weeks while we supported survivors 7 days a week, and we opened up again in September last year as a youth club.
Since then, Rugby Portobello has played a prominent role in the lives of some of the children affected by what happened.
And 1, 2, 3,
And the kids have been amazing. They've lost friends in the tower. They've banded together and looked after one another. This community rose to its feet and looked after its own in every conceivable way.
Stretch out, tuck. Yay! Exit goes.
Have you washed your hands, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
First things first.
Jeanette, who's 13, started coming to the Rugby Portobello 6 months before the fire.
So Jeanette's always in the kitchen. She loves the kitchen. Why is it that you like the kitchen, Jeanette?
Because I'm always hungry.
Ain't you fasting?
No, not today. Because I don't have to.
Fair enough. We encourage them to just like come in, and if they needed to talk to anybody, if they needed to just spend time in here and away from everything, they could have come.
On the morning of the fire, Jeanette was walking to school.
All I see is like smoke and stuff, so I ran to like next to the school, and then I saw my friends and I was like, how's Jessica? How's like Georgina?
Georgina was a classmate. She was in hospital and recovered. But Jeanette's other friend, 12-year-old Jessica, died.
I knew so many people that were in that tower, and they did pass away. A boy in year 10 called Yaya. The other girl in my year that died was called Myrna. And there was a year 8 girl as well called Firdaus. And like, Firdaus was such a good singer, and she had amazing ambitions. Like, she wanted to be the Prime Minister.
How did you feel about that?
You feel like aggravated in the beginning, but then you kind of like know that they're in a better place.
Inez Alves and her family escaped from the 13th floor of Grenfell just after 1 a.m. Later that morning, she sat her GCSE chemistry exam and got an A, but her home and everything she owned was gone.
My friends from primary school, so around the area, they hadn't gone to school that day, and they were messaging me, telling me that they were going around helping in donation centres. It was very chaotic, but the people that were there were locals. So it was people that I recognised, from primary school, or people from around the area that wanted to help. And looking back at it now is when we realised that we didn't actually get much help from the local council and the government. In a way, it makes me feel that the people around us care more about us than the actual government.
Let's talk about Jasmine's sister. She's the best sister.
She's apparently the best sister.
Apparently.
A year ago, Megan Gomez and her 13-year-old sister Luana escaped with their parents from their 21st floor flat.
So just lean over your body there.
Their mum was 7 months pregnant. The girls were so excited about having a baby brother, but he was stillborn that night.
We managed to escape the fire at around 3:30, 4 in the morning. We got into a situation where it was quite difficult for us to breathe, and we were taken straight to the King's College Hospital. My daughters and my wife were put in induced comas, but we stayed in a hospital for nearly a month, all of us.
How to make people die.
After they were discharged, the family lived in a hotel for 6 months. They've only recently moved into a permanent home. Throughout this year, the Rugby Portobello Trust has filled some of the vacuum.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right, that's all right. Go ahead, take your time.
I've been coming here for years, and I really enjoy it because they make me, it's like my second home, I guess. They're just really caring, and they look out for me.
6, 7.
They know people quite well. If you pull a face or something, they'll know. So today I lost my bag on the bus, and they knew that something was wrong. They didn't quite ask me, but they knew. They were like, "Are you okay?" And yeah. So they kind of knew something was up.
Flip. Oh.
This year it's really helped me to get through what happened.
It's good for my girls because sometimes they're not always able to tell the parents what they're feeling. And they might find it a little bit difficult, especially at the age that they are at the moment. And sometimes they might speak to somebody else about how they're feeling. And they certainly have done that with the staff at Rugby Portobello.
I don't know how to breathe.
Like a snake.
Well, so you have to make that noise
You don't have to, but it does help. You'd be surprised, it makes you take your mind off and you just breathe.
If I do feel stressed or angry, I either go to Jonathan and I tell him about it, and then like I do like a bit of boxing with him to like let out my anger. Or sometimes with Rudy, we sometimes do a little bit of karaoke, so that makes me feel relaxed.
1, 2, 1, 2, right cross.
Kids have come in and they've freely off their own will spoke about, you know, the kid I used to sit next to is not here anymore. I know there's a family that wiped out all 5 of them, and some of the youth grew up with the whole family, like the mum, the dad and the children, and now they see none of them, and they've been very close to them, and it's a very traumatic experience when you've lost someone who you've known all your life.
5, 6, 7,
In the club's recording studio, they've been writing a song about their friend, the eldest child in that family of 5, Yassin El-Wahabi. He was 20 when he died.
Fire in the smoke, and it was treated like Mayfield. It's been 1 year now, but nothing ain't changed here.
If they want to talk about it, I'm here, but I don't generally bring up anything to do with it. And if something is brought up, you can tell by their body language if they want to deal with it or they're not ready to deal with it yet.
Ara's 14. He's also a student at Kensington Aldridge Academy, the school next door to Grenfell Tower. 4 pupils and 1 recent graduate died in the fire, kids they played and studied with daily.
Like, we were worried about, like, everyone that we knew that lived there. Like, Yaya, Ferdoz, Jessica, Miena, the whole lot. We were all, like, worried about if they were all right. We were all asking our teachers who are all across the roads, making sure that we were all right.
Are you Muslim?
Yeah.
Oh. Are you fasting today?
No.
Why not? Why aren't you fasting?
So that's the tower up there, and then to the right of it is our school.
Since the fire, the school's been in a temporary facility just over a mile away.
Our school have told us that we've got to move back in September to our old building over there. It's quite like indecisive for all of us whether we want to move back or not. If we do move back, we're there while it gets taken down, and then we'll be there for the whole process. Just watching it being taken down, knowing what's happened, is going to be quite tough, and it's just more stress as well.
Over a period of time, like, you won't get over it, but you'll just learn how to live with it.
I guess, like, well, it's kind of what everyone wants, though, like, justice, I guess. Like, because that shouldn't have happened, and, like, no one deserved that, so.
It was just something that will, like, always be there in the back of our hearts, and, like, we'll never forget what happened.
That film from our producer, Sarah Morali-Aglu. And we can talk to Katie Razzle now, who you saw in the film. She's at Grenfell Tower, shrouded in a white cover, illuminated in green this evening. And Katie, take us through what's been happening there this evening, and indeed elsewhere today.
Well, Evan, as you say, West London is a sea